Yeah, I thought it was great work. I mean, I told you guys yesterday, part of the reason why you do this is because of the scheme looks that you get. Like, we need different looks. We need the 3-4 looks. We needed some of the things that Chris Shula and his staff do and they present. And quite honestly, they gave us some fits, and we had some communication errors. And, run game wasn't great on offense. Some of the run-through linebackers, we got to do a better job against that. But we got a bunch of work and a bunch of different looks. And so, like anything, we'll go watch the film here in a little bit, and usually it's not as bad or as good. I think, a couple of the guys stepped up, made some big plays, but there's always things to learn from. But don't lose sight of why we do this. We do this for that exact reason, to get looks that we haven't seen and different blitzes and all that stuff. And then, of course, I didn't see any of the defense.
Brian Schottenheimer, very candid when talking about Tuesday's joint practice with the Los Angeles Rams, as we're back here in Oxnard, California, with more Inside Cowboys training camp driven by Ford. Alongside Nicole Hutchison, I'm Kyle Youmans, still getting to review the tape from Tuesday's practice. Lots of good tape, lots of not so good tape, as Brian Schottenheimer alluded to. He's not going to sugarcoat it, but there's a lot of things you can take away from that practice.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the best things you can take away is finally seeing, your star wide receiver duo and George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb finally doing what, they came here to do, and that's caused problems for another opposing defense. So, you saw George Pickens catch 2 touchdowns, obviously called for penalties there, but, I mean, that was something that Brian Schottenheimer expected these refs to do. But you also got a chance to see how this offensive line fares against the Rams defensive front. That's one of the best in the NFL, with guys like Jared Verse, that came here last year and caused some problems. So, yeah, it was a good matchup. You obviously want to see more out of this run games. Needs a lot of work, but definitely some learning lessons, and hopefully they take it forward into the preseason game.
2-minute drill was good. The end of game scenario was great. You could see both Nicole and I have talked through that on Training Camp Live on the Cowboys YouTube and social channels. But how much stock do you put into a joint practice like this? Because at the end of the day, there's still a month until Game 1 against Philadelphia, September 4th. And there's still a long way to go for football, but this is really the one opportunity that fans and coaches get to see the ones against other ones.
Well, what I loved is the fact that, Shotty even said that we're being very vanilla right now. You can't even put too much stock into it, like you mentioned, just because this is a practice. You're trying to just see, how yourself fares up against somebody else. So, yeah, I don't put too much stock into it, but now you get a chance to have good real live game action on Saturday. Now that's a whole different ball game.
Oh, man. I see, and I think there's a lot of stock into the ones getting to play, but like you said, they're not unveiling this entire playbook quite yet, and there's going to be a long way until that entire playbook is unveiled in Week 1 against Philadelphia. So, with all this being said, who stood out? Who needs to step up? When we come back, Isaiah Stanback joins the show here in Oxnard as Inside Cowboys training camp rolls on from the West Coast.
Inside Cowboys training camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back into Inside Cowboys training camp driven by Ford. Once again, alongside Nicole Hutchison, I'm Kyle Youmans. This is Isaiah Stanback, our resident Super Bowl champion. And Isaiah, you were out on the practice field yesterday for the Cowboys-Rams joint practice. It's a big day to get a benchmark of certain players and how they've stacked up against other competition. Who were some of the guys that stood out?
Yeah, I spent most of my time on the defensive side of the ball just because I had a lot of attention there. The number one guy that stands out to me is Shamar James. Shamar James was, obviously rookie linebacker coming in fast, physical. He was able to play downhill, fill a lot of the gaps. LA was not able to have any running lanes, but that was a guy who stood out for me. And then on the special team side, I know it's not the fancy one, but Brian Anger, it looked like the Brian Anger from a couple years ago that was all pro. Everything that touched his foot seemingly was over 60 yards and placed well. That's going to pay huge dividends for the special teams unit.
Shamar James has earned some first team reps throughout the weeks have gone through camp here in Oxnard. But talk about some of the other guys in that linebacker linebacker room who kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, Jack Sanborn. Obviously, he was another guy that was in there at the same time. Maris Leafau. Those guys were all running around. They all have really good size. They possess a lot of athletic ability. But the thing that stuck out to me was their ability to read the plays. They were reading the plays. You could tell that they're high intellect type of guys. Their fits were good in terms of what placement they were in to help their teammates when it comes down to tackling time. I just thought that they worked well as a unit.
Sometimes saying a rookie is standing out and saying a special teamer standing out is a good thing. This might not have been a great thing overall. Even Brian Schottenheimer very open about how he expects this team to get better after Tuesday's joint practice. What are some of the areas that you're looking at to take a step forward if you are this Cowboys coaching staff?
I mean, we're hearing a lot of it from these coaches, especially following the scrimmage, pad level, missed assignments, playing with their leverage, just working as a unit, especially when you start talking about the offensive and defensive lines. You have to be able to work as a unit to be effective. So those are some of the things that I'm looking for. Obviously, we won't know from the media side if there's mental errors or not a lot of times, but in terms of them working collectively as a unit, pad levels when it comes down to the actual games, getting guys down to the ground, and then just continue to have this high effort flying around to the ball and just doing the best that they can.
One of the good things is a lot of the elements that they're trying to fix are fixable elements,
Correct.
Right? They're going to be able to make some changes and make some adjustments as they get ready for that first preseason game on Saturday. Isaiah will be on the call for that one,
Yes.
CBS 11 in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Can't wait to see that one, and we'll hear from Isaiah throughout the week. When we come back, of course, there's a lot more going on here in training camp, including some injury updates. Is Joe Milton going to be available for Saturday's matchup against the Rams?
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Final segment here of Inside Cowboys Training Camp. It's a Wednesday in Oxnard as the Cowboys get ready for their first preseason matchup with the Rams on Saturday. Couple practices in between now and then, but as we look forward, there's always going to be an injury update, and here's one that Cowboys fans have a little extra vested interest in because he's going to play a lot on Saturday, and that's Joe Milton as the backup quarterback. Suffered a thumb injury in Tuesday's joint practice with the Rams. What are you hearing about his availability going into the preseason?
Yeah, well, Brian Schottenheimer obviously said that, you can expect him to play, that he's doing fine. So obviously expect him to see him on Saturday suiting up. But something that, I talked to Coach Shimko about him and just, Joe Milton's area of growth and improvement over the last couple of weeks, and he said that it's the way that he's approaching the game a little bit better. He's coming in and playing every practice like it's a game, and that was something that he always told him that, it was not a downfall, but one of his weaknesses, right? And in terms of his footwork has improved a little bit. His reads, him kind of checking down his reads has improved in his eyes. So, yeah, I mean, he's taken the steps that he needs to, but certainly expect to see some more growth out of Joe Milton.
Yeah, he left practice Tuesday, did not return, and he was still out there, never went to the locker room, never had to get taped up or anything on the thumb is what the injury was on. So hearing that he's available Saturday is huge because how much is he needing to be out there for his own good?
Yeah, I mean, you need all the reps you can get. You need all the tape you can put on yourself, and especially with a guy like Will Greer who came in and, filled in his shoes yesterday, or actually on prep practice, training camp live, and, played very well. So certainly he needs the tape, and I think he'll be fine.
And you can check out all those training camp live coverages on DallasCowboys.com, the Cowboys Now app, and on the Cowboys social channels. We've got more coverage coming from training camp starting tomorrow. For Nicole Hutchison, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Youmans. We'll see you next time.
Hey, you know Ken Nassau, right? Yeah, I went to high school with him. Yeah? Matty Ice. How you doing, brother? You all right? Yes, good to see you. I'm good, bro. 6. I feel like I'm in year 6 right now. What, Doc? That's loud. How you feeling, bro? You all right? Good to see you, bro.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.